sat on a president. No, that presentation you wanted. It was really good.
Was it really good?
We were the big ones laughing behind you guys making noise.
Really? Did you hear us?
Yes, outside.
3 months later. Oh, okay. Somebody from the workshop came and told us to be quiet.
Like 3 times.
Actually, they used to.
All right, we'll start again. Sorry. We'll start with roll call and approval of proxies.
Dorothy. Dorothy.
Present.
Not. Probably Sack.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Elmore. Baum.
Here.
Alvedakis.
Here.
Schumann. Rogers.
Here.
Bottom.
Here.
Rio. Barthel.
Yes.
McBride. Otten. Roder.
Here.
Bite.
Here.
Fidelis. Wilshire. Nike. Newton.
Here.
Penning. Einricher. Dexter.
Proxy Bowler.
Spillman.
Here.
There's a cough. A resounding cough. I couldn't hear it. We have quorum.
Wonderful. Senator Probison, where are you? I would entertain a motion. Senator Probison. Is there a second? Seconded by Senator Reel. Discussion on that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Welcome. We'll move on to approval of the agenda. Are there any changes or corrections to the agenda for today? Which is our last full meeting of the year. Senator Providence.
I don't know, I'm being really nitpicky.
Sure, please.
But
I made it 2 minutes ago.
Soham's name is written as Soham instead of in the OS agenda, sorry, 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. So nothing? Okay, seeing none, it passes by unanimous consent. Move on to the minutes, and there was another one, Aaron Alphonsus amendment that is also with a PH instead of an F. But I didn't, that's my bad. Okay, so beyond that, any changes or corrections to last week's meeting minutes, which Danica sent out yesterday? I think so, yeah. Something like that. Seeing none, besides the friendly amendments, they will pass by unanimous consent. Open for guests, we have none. Does anyone have anything to say? Well, I'm lively today, guys. We need to be. We have no unfinished business either. So, we have one new resolution, which the Constitution Committee is very excited to present. That is resolution number 18S022, the Student Organization Handbook.
Okay, Campbell Overpower Resolution number 18S022, putting the March 2018, originated by the Constitution Committee and presented by myself. Whereas the Student Association Constitution Committee is lacking a student organization handbook to help potential student organizations and existing student organizations. And whereas the student organization handbook has been created for this purpose, and noting this handbook is attached to this resolution, and therefore be it resolved by a majority vote of the Student Senate and the signature of the Student Association President that the student organization handbook be approved. Here is the student organization handbook.
Can we dim the lights a little bit?
You just want you want to try those ones, sorry. Little more.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
All right,
good.
just go with that.
Okay. So,
Similar.
this is the table of contents. There's 11 pages. I don't know if you guys want me to read it for you.
Could you just walk us through
Can
the?
I just walk you through it? Okay, here are our constitution guidelines. These have not changed for like these are the steps for becoming an organization. These are just the steps that we follow to create student organizations that I send out in an email when they're trying to form a student organization. Then this just goes through the time that it takes to become a student organization, how like they present one week and then they get voted on the next week. These list of things that you can do before you're actually an organization on campus, so they know. Then the actual benefits of becoming a recognized student organization, what to have in your presentation, frequently asked questions, requirements for being an active organization so that you won't be deactivated during activity report process. Then the deactivation process, which is from the bylaws. Fundraising ideas. Then these are the grounds for not approving an organization, which I have a little comment here because we kind of discussed this last week. Do we want to do 1 month, 1 year, a substantial change? So right now it's that a potential student organization is not approved by the Student Association Senate by a 2/3 majority vote. The potential student organization can retry 1 month following the vote, but a change must be present in one of the following ways. The difference between an already existing club and then remove the reason why the organization is not approved.
Discussion on that? Raise your hand high. Ezra McBride.
I like 1 month.
So McNitt.
I like 1 year. I think they've most likely, they've gone through the Constitution Committee, so they've tried to create themselves as an organization within the lines of what we would consider, or if there was a reason we didn't approve them after that, it was most likely a significant reason, since as a general policy, we pass just about any group that comes before us. So I would say that it's most likely a pretty significant thing, and maybe there should be a change of hands or a new body of organization next year.
Senator Ramos.
Maybe the next semester might be a nice compromise, because you might, rather than like the 1 month, you might be able to get some new students or some students with like a different class load or something. I feel like something might change the next semester more than like just a month.
I don't think we should do that because simple reason. Example, fitness club came in. We told them, hey, you should umbrella under wellness club. And then they came in as wellness club. And then we like, hey, you guys are not going to work together properly, so you should come back as fitness club. So they came back as fitness club, and then we approved them. So I think that is not going to work in that case, in those cases. And then we again have to like change rules and go over like multiple other things, just because we thought that they would be better umbrella, and then we again thought that they would be better individually. This is just an example which I'm giving, which happened like last year or the year before that. So we shouldn't make it that long.
How long would you say then?
Sorry?
How long would you say then?
I don't think 1 month is pretty decent in my opinion. I mean, if they come back and they're still, if Senate feels they're not worth it, then they're probably going to get rejected again.
Senator Spelman.
I think greater than 1 month is needed. A semester is okay. I like 1 year best because I think it also shows that they have a backing. Because a lot of times we're worried about an organization not being able to continue, and I think that they come back and ask a second time, like if we didn't initially approve them, it shows that they really will be something to stick around.
Senator Clum.
My issue is that after a year, it doesn't really be anybody interested, regardless if they would have been succeeded a year beforehand. Because like it's really hard to like keep a group if you can't have meetings, meet, advertise, all of that. So I think a year might be too long. A semester might work. You still have the same people, but like after a year, you could lose half your population just from graduating. So.
Senator McBride.
So what if we were to turn them down for a smaller reason? Kind of pointed out that we don't really do that very much. But if it were for just a smaller reason and said, hey, you should probably change this, then there wouldn't be a way for them to come back then for the following year. My only concern.
Senator Rogers.
If that were to happen, couldn't we just allow them to make that change in their constitution and have them figure it out and bring it back on the table the following week? If it's super small like that.
Well, so yes, so if it were small enough that it could just be a change in their constitution and we had not voted no on the resolution, then that's true. This is mostly if we had voted no on their resolution, they would have to wait at least a mandatory month, semester, whatever we're debating. Further discussion on this? Senator McBride.
I have a question that might be answered by the Constitution thing. What would keep them from just changing their name and a few things in the Constitution and then re-presenting as a different organization?
Senator Knudsen?
I was just gonna say, if discussion is primarily done, could we just take an informal vote between month, semester, and year?
Sure. Before I get to that, Senator Combs, was that in response? Okay, go ahead.
If they have like different ultimate goals, I think they could. But if they're trying to do the same exact thing, with just a different name, different people, I think that'd be the same thing. Or they're trying to do this. So.
As to Senator Knudsen's questions, this is the Constitution Committee's resolution. So if they would like to take a formal vote, they're more than welcome to, but it would require a change to this, which would be more than a friendly amend. So it will just need to sit on for an extra week. So if they want to present the resolution as is, they can do so, or they can ask for a vote and change it up to them. Senator Elmer.
If we amend the resolution this week and then we still have a week to see it, will we be able to vote on it next?
Yeah, we could. Yes, sorry, you are correct. The same thing happened last week with the. Senator Lopez.
I would like to take a formal vote, because, yeah, we have no idea, that's why I put this comment here, because we wanted to have some input, so.
Perfect. So how do you want to do this? You have, how many options do you have?
1 month, 1 year, and 1 semester.
Okay. Because on OCD, we will go month, semester, year. Senator Elmer.
And then by semester, do you just mean like any time in the next semester, not necessarily like 3 months later or whatever, like just next semester?
I don't know, I guess I was just gonna change month to semester, like semester following the vote.
Okay.
Like 1 semester following the vote, and that is okay?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we will take an informal vote then. Those in favor of 1 month, please raise your hand high because it is dark. 6. Okay. What? Okay, 8. I'm gonna write it on this. 1 semester. And 1 year. Brave soul, Senator Knudsen. Okay. Semester. 13, 8 for month and 1 for.
Okay. So change it to semester. Then we have, I can differentiate between similar organizations, changing your.
Oh, sorry, I can't see. Senator Vite has.
Oh, instead of 1 semester, maybe the following semester.
Semester.
Yeah.
Or just take that.
How does that sound? Okay. So changing your student organization's constitution, then we have event planning, right, and look around.
Sorry, Senator, but yeah, you guys are gonna really have to like wait. Just say that.
I just want to note the following semester, if you word it like that, that could be less than a month.
Correct.
So
I think
Senator Vite.
I think that's something we can discuss like as in the next Senate as well, because it's a transitioning paper. It's still in the works basically, but.
Anything else on that? Senator Elmer.
I still think like the transition to the next semester, even if it's not a large amount of time, will still give the benefit of like different people and different schedules and stuff. So, in my opinion, I think it's okay.
Further discussion on that thought? On that comment? Go ahead.
Okay. This is still event planning. This is travel, which we got from the camp stuff, so like some of the stuff needs to change. We're just presenting
Director Headley.
All right, if you would make a note on the travel section, we're gonna talk about this at the org workshop. We've had some travel paperwork out of the SALC that hasn't been required of student organizations to fill out, and they will be required to start filling those out starting in the fall semester, so we can put a little line in there and link to where it's gonna be on the website.
Okay. So, then this is catering, or you can place orders, or you can contact for a food waiver. Transitions, just some points for a transition between semesters or between leadership. Vendors for licensing, and then the bookstore benefits of like, you wanna order something clubbing on it, stuff, so. Yep, that's about it.
Any other questions for Constitution? So, to clarify, these changes that you're talking about for like the camp stuff, are you making them now, or you want to approve it with the camp in there still?
We will make those now. I'll make them like right now and change those.
But those are just name changes?
Yeah, that's just pretty much deleting. Every time it says camp, we'll just delete it. So,
Okay.
yep.
Further discussion, oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, like, we're not like, we don't need to get this done right now or anything like that. It's really just so that you guys see it, see that it's out there, and then also for, this is gonna really help with transitions for whoever is the next Constitution Committee chair. I think that this document will really help them. So it's more for that reason. If it doesn't get approved for a couple of weeks, a month, like, we're not in like, we don't need this right now, and we know what we're doing, kind of, so.
Further discussion on this resolution? Thank you, Constitution, for all the work you guys have put into this. Go ahead, Paulette.
Yes.
I don't think that one works. Alright, I'm gonna hit buttons till it looks good. Perfect. Okay, that is the only resolution, and that is the final resolution that the Senate has the opportunity to pass. Unless, I guess, someone suspends the rules. That's not true, we have to, because we have to vote in the next semester. Open discussion. What do you guys have? Senator Elmore.
I guess I can bring this up during upcoming Senate business, but
It's my report, go for it. No, please talk about it, you know more about it.
So the Alumni Association is putting on a trivia night. They want to get teams of students together, and then they're going to pair us up with teams of alumni, and then it'll just be like a normal trivia night at Thirsties. So Sarah was looking for teams of 6 students, so I was wondering if we would have at least 6 senators interested in being on a trivia team. It will be Wednesday, April 18th at 7:30 p.m. So for those of you that will be on Senate in the next term, I'm sure the meeting will be done by 7:30. And it's at Thirsties, but you don't have to be 21 to attend. And the people that won't be on Senate next semester should definitely still come. And could I get volunteers? Are there enough people interested? Will you raise your hand high? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'm gonna write down your guys' name real quick. Megan, Bree, Eileen.
We talking about trivia?
Okay. Jake, is your hand raised there? Are you?
I'm committed. I'm.
And then Noah. Okay. And if anyone on the new Senate would like to join, they're more than welcome to. So. Yeah.
Vice President Overquiller.
I'm going to be passing around the Outstanding Student Service Ballot Award for nominations for a faculty that you think has just done an exceptional, or staff, sorry, not faculty, I think I said faculty too. Staff that has done an exceptional job. So if you put a tally mark by the name of someone that you want to nominate, could you also please talk to me about, or like I sent out an email with the ballot, just like a brief summary of like why you think that they deserve this award.
Does it have on there who's gotten it in the past few years?
Yeah, I can send that out as well. Last year was Kevin Buttle, for that Jill Fontaine.
It should be in your email, if you guys check it right now.
I don't think it is.
Oh, did you not email? It will be in your email shortly.
But anyways, I must start that.
Further topics for open discussion. CFO Grothy.
So the finance team is still busy making changes to the sub-constitution. We have one specific question that I'd like to bring up to the Senate. So hopefully it won't be a long conversation, but I do want to know your thoughts. So, okay, so I guess to jump right in, we have a clause in the sub-constitution that says SOAP funds cannot be allocated to organizations that exclude membership from any students. And then it defines a member as a student capable of holding executive office and having voting power, and so forth. So that's how it currently stands. And that excludes all of our honor societies from receiving SOAP funding, but it also goes a little farther and technically excludes organizations such as the dance team and the cheer team as well from excluding, because they have restricted size. So they don't allow more than, say, 12 members or more than 10 members on their team. So here was a suggestion that we might change it to be, and that is to say that we won't allow organizations to receive funding if they discriminate against GPA, major, race, age, sex, religion, etc. So essentially it's changing it, instead of saying we won't allow it if they exclude membership, to we won't allow it if they discriminate in any way. What do you guys think about that?
Senator Alma.
Could you, instead of saying discriminate, say exclude based on?
Sure. And
I
that,
just feel like discriminate's really strong.
that's probably a better choice of words, I agree.
Director Headley.
And then I would just, if you're gonna use that language, then I would just copy from the university's non-discrimination policy, because it has those populations listed in there, then you can adapt it from that.
Yeah, except we might go a step further and say excludes against GPA or maybe
Oh, right, yeah, but then you get the full.
Right, all of those things. Do you guys have any issues with that? Because then it would allow funding to go towards the cheer team, because they wouldn't exclude based on any of those things according to their constitution, but it would still prevent funding from going to honor societies.
Senator Knott.
Does the cheer team need SOAP funding if they're a college sport?
So they're
Oh, they're not.
Yeah. Is the member of the cheer, or no, you're talking about cheer team, not dance team. Right,
It's cheer team.
Yeah.
yeah, so that.
Sorry. Senator Reel.
I don't know, so funding comes from like every student, if like every student doesn't have the equal opportunity or ability to join a club, I don't think they should have funding.
Senator White.
Another club affected is the martial arts club. Their president has to be a member of the local dojo. So, so they would not be able to receive funds under the constitution.
Further discussion on this topic? Senator Knudsen.
It might be simpler just to leave this to the discretion of the Senate, to the list of organizations each year that come up, let the Senate decide for that year. Because if we try to add the population list, that list may continually get longer and longer and longer, and it may just become harder and harder and harder to figure out which groups are, or there's a nitpick. And so if you leave it somewhat up to the discretion of the Senate, then at least it's been discussed and it's been talked, and there's been people who reached out to their constituents that they needed to, that the group might have a chance to come up and talk to us. But because it is really hard, because SOAP funds come from GAF funds, and GAF funds are from everybody, but GAF funds also go to athletics, and athletics don't let everybody in. They have a way of cutting off the filtering. So the idea that everyone should be allowed to access that money just because they had to give that money in isn't necessarily a straightforward concept, I'd say. So it might just be easier to take it on a one-by-one basis with these organizations. And maybe make it the first order of business each year.
I mean, yeah, it's true. I think that's really putting extra work on the Senate each year because we have to revisit orgs, and it is one solution now.
I think maybe one distinction that I see is that like anyone's more than welcome to try out for any of the athletic teams or the dance team or the cheer team, but like honor societies, like you can't even like there's no way you're gonna get in because you don't have a certain GPA or a certain major. So I guess maybe that's where I would see the distinction.
Yeah, I did have a response to that because I've thought about that too, and if we look at it that way, if we choose to interpret it that way, the language as it stands actually lets cheer team and dance team, but it's sort of a matter of interpretation.
Further discussion on this. What is finance's goal on this? I mean, are you trying to take a vote, or are you just trying to facilitate conversation for now? I mean,
Yeah, actually, if go ahead.
Would we be able to talk to constituents about this for a week and then do it, if you wanted an informal vote, do it next week?
I don't think so actually, because we need to get the sub-constitution updates presented before the Senate in time for the next meeting. Do we have 2 meetings after this one?
I believe 3.
3 meetings.
But I would have to check.
Okay, well in that case,
Really?
if there's 3 meetings, then potentially.
They just have a new Senate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, well I think that gives me some thoughts, so finally we'll keep talking about it. And it doesn't sound like everybody has too strong feelings either way, so we'll do our best and then present our ideas during the updates. Cool.
After transition? Okay, 3 after transition. Just. Further topics for open discussion. Sorry, I'm distracted. I'll tell you what this is during my report. Senator Klum.
I heard some good feedback about opening up, choosing commencement speaker to the senior class.
That is what I'm working on.
Yeah,
So,
I really like that. I know in the past we've talked about trying to get it outside of Senate one way, and I think that's the perfect solution. I mean, this graduating class should be the one to choose their speaker, so I like it.
I'm getting a lot of emails. Senator Knudsen.
Will we be able to get feedback on who was all voted for when that's all said and done?
Like for senators?
For no, for commencement.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can do that. I can, because what we'll do is we will send the top, depending on if there's a nice break, it's kind of like grading, right? Like if there's like an A category of people who've been voted the most, we'll send those to administration and they pick. We do not make the ultimate decision.
I just want to know how many votes were for Harambe.
0 thus far. Okay. But you have not emailed me yet, so.
I'll work on that.
Okay. Any other topics for open discussion? Anyone? Going once, twice, okay. Vice President Overbrother.
Has everybody heard about the Transformation Center? Like, is that really one part? Has there been any update?
There's been presentations, they've been exactly the same. There's some students who are doing like tech-on projects on it, but that's about the student involvement. At the university cabinet meeting I mentioned it, they said, yeah, no, we definitely need some student opinion. I was like, no, so what should we do? And they're like, well, we're kind of waiting too. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Unless Director Headley knows anything else. I don't. Okay. Sorry to be no, you have. Sorry to be this one. Any other topics for open discussion? Senator Klum.
Does anyone know what's happening with the gas station? Like what it's gonna be?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too.
Director Headley, do you have rumors?
I don't, obviously the foundation has purchased the property, we've not heard anything yet of what their plans are.
I'll send some spies over there. Senator Knudsen, what's up?
I was just curious who the minor shack is going to compare their prices to now that we don't have a gas
Nope. Very respectfully. Any other topics for open discussion? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to CFO report.
Okay, not really much of a report today. Next week, hopefully we should have some sub-constitution changes or push it back a week. that'll work out. I'll work with the new CFO to make sure they're aware of what's going on with the CFO's office. Also, Formula team sent an email. They have supplemental requests that they're going to be sending in for a competition before the end of the year. And Finance Friday Fact of the Day. Say carrot juice is the best juice, and that's a fact to the report.
Anyway, questions for finance? No. Okay. Any other questions for finance? Thank you for your service. And the finance team. You guys have spent a lot of time in meetings. It feels like you're meeting like every other day. So thank you guys. Vice President, what do you have?
All right, so we're switching gears and pursuing a new artist with the concert committee because the one with the band that it doesn't matter now, ex-ambassadors, did not work out on the dates and everything. So, moving on. Once we get more information from the middle agent, we'll let you know. And if you really want the juicy details, just talk to me after the meeting. Please encourage your friends to vote. It's open till 9 o'clock, right, Megan? Cool. Also, spread the word about the appointed positions. Tell all your friends that you think would be good. Talk to your constituents. It'd be nice to have those before the end of the semester. That way we can just kick off a new year.
And also very importantly, the secretary position.
Yes. The secretary.
Unless Danica changes her mind and wants to go again.
She might want to stay like even after she graduates.
My position is the Senate secretary.
We went to the Student Federation meeting last night, and some of the things that I have to report are that I asked all the other universities if they do a 1 or 2 day election for the president and vice presidential candidates, and they all do a 2 day election. So we were wondering, what's the Senate's, I guess, idea or thoughts on that? What do you think?
Oh, sorry. One of the things I heard about when they were talking about it last night is that it gave the chance to more students to actually see it. I feel like if we did that, we'd have to advertise it maybe a little more. Be like, hey, just a reminder, you should do this. And I think it's a great opportunity just to get a little more feedback instead of just the specific small amount that we would get, which is 1 day.
Did they have any feedback for how many people voted day 1 versus day 2? Like, was it just a trickle of people, like 100 people the first day and 2 or 3 the next day?
I did not get those numbers.
Senator Elmo.
I think the way that our like the timeline is structured, because we vote like right after we come back from spring break, it might be helpful because people aren't like thinking about Senate right when they come after spring break. So if you give them 2 days, it might help spread that out. And I think maybe in years where we only have 1 ticket running, like my year, it wouldn't be that helpful. But especially years we have more than 1 ticket, I think it'd be a good idea.
Your brother said
How many people voted this year total?
530, 60 something.
Yeah, we definitely need. We can push it 2 days.
So Senator McBride.
I also consider having a little bit more time between the date, which is the first time everyone hears about who candidates are, and the election, like maybe the date 1 week, and then at least the end of the week, and maybe the following week of the election.
Sure. Senator Reel.
Basically, it doesn't require like any extra work pretty much, so I don't see the point, like the problem, like there's no reason why not to, in my opinion.
Further discussion? Okay, we will talk to the next GR chair about that.
Awesome. Also, on the same note, I asked all the universities about, and I know we had this conversation already a while back, but opening the gym to the community or different groups, like buying memberships to just make more profit. And all of the other universities also open their gyms. But one caveat to think about is that they are not funding their gyms always. Not all of them are funding gyms the same way we are, which is straight out of the gap. So just food for thought, and I was wondering what your guys' opinions were on opening the gym.
Senator Roder.
So if we were to open the gym like that, would that reduce the cost out of like the cap funding?
It would
or
not.
that stay the same?
Simply because you can't guarantee what you're going to get from those returns. Plus, to even change like $1 on the gap, we'd have to raise $70,000 that way, which would be a lot.
But the idea would be that the profits made could go towards different things to alleviate off of the gap in different ways, like,
Go ahead.
So if we were to do that, could we like say that whole profits goes like the sum fund or anything like that, or could we ever control where the profits go?
potentially.
Maybe, I would see that if that request came, then obviously it would be used for probably upkeep of equipment and things within the facility. And just as he was saying, I mean, at the end of the day, this bond that we have to pay off, obviously that guarantee has to go there. So again, I think where you would see it would then be when their request comes in, they reduce some of that initial cost because they could have it back.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, in fact, as far as I understand it, there's an amount of money that's automatically given to the wellness center that would not change regardless of whether they made money. What would they would use that profits is extra stuff. That's what I guess. Okay.
Senator Schumer.
Do we know what the interest is like within the community of opening the gym up? Because I know there were gyms and stuff for that, so like.
Director.
I'm sure there's, I would think where interest could be would be partners of faculty and staff potentially. I think probably the biggest community that we have heard from would be the staff at the incubator, have wanted to utilize the facility.
And faculty, spouses, and
Right.
Senator No.
I think
Okay, sure. Senator Roder.
So, I'm just gonna reiterate from last time. We discussed this over like 5, 6, 7 meetings. We said no, simply because if you go there in the afternoon or evening, students or staff or faculty, they don't get to bench themselves. They'll wait 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So there is literally no point of adding more people to a facility that cannot hold more people.
Sure. So I'll comment on that. We also discussed that a little bit at the Board of Regents meeting. While there are peak times where it is very utilized, there are obviously a lot. If you guys have been up there at various times throughout the day, you'll know that it's underutilized. There's always the ability to say, hey, community members are available during these non-peak hours. So, well, Vice President.
So the other thing with that is that the peak times are far outweighed by the underutilization times, and so justifying the hours that we currently have is not possible with the manpower that it requires versus the response that we get or the amount of use that we're getting from the students. So it's a balancing act, but right now it's not exactly working.
That's
Well, I was just gonna say the hours that like are underutilized aren't exactly peak hours for anybody in the community that might want to be using it. Like most of them are like 11 to 2. I just don't know what the point is of opening up to the community, like for the 1 or 2 people that are working or at school somewhere else or at home with their kids. Like, I don't know.
Senator Roder.
Is this just talking about the weight room specifically, or the entire food center?
It would include all of it, I think.
Okay, and then I think like
Well, it would include all the GAF funded items.
So Fraser Gym and wellness center
And exercise.
bouldering room and exercise room.
I think logistically then it'd be really hard to do that because as it is right now, I think campus safety has to come and keep people out who aren't students every time there's something there. So I think it'd be pretty hard to kind of enforce because I know other university gyms just have a front desk and a gate they just go through to even get into the building. So I think it'd just be hard for the wellness center to do that themselves.
Senator Almond.
So I have 2 things. I think I don't like have the numbers in front of me, but I think really early in the morning, like 6, and Jake, you probably test it. and like really late at night, it's pretty empty. I mean, not super empty, but not at peak times by any
There'd be
means.
more people there.
So I think that a lot of people who do work all day might use those times. And another target audience would be the alumni, like especially recent alum that stay in Rapid, because I'm pretty sure I've seen some alum in there every once in a while anyhow. So if we could charge them, we make some money.
Senator Rio.
Will this be available for like high schools and stuff? Cause I know high school did not want to pay a lot for their membership, so if it's cheap, it would be good hourly.
If it was open to the community, it would be open to, obviously there's gonna be like age limits, you can't have like a 10-year-old playing around with equipment, that's what.
Senator Roberts.
So two things. I work at the Wellness Center, so night. I work Tuesdays and Thursdays, and Tuesdays till 9:30 p.m. is actually pretty packed. 9:30 to 10 it just slows down. This is what I've seen every Tuesday and Thursday. And already we have an issue of a lot of people from the community who don't go to mines go and use the facility. And earlier we were able to like tell them to leave, but now it's more of a campus safety issue. So we have to call campus safety, and already that's happening. You open it up to the community. It's going to raise a lot of inconvenience for the students who just enter and exit the building as they wish, and you'll have to like actually invest a lot of money into like security and stuff, because like say one guy gets a membership, what about like his friends just come with him and they go down to the basketball courts and use it like that? We only have 2 courts which are like properly for the students, the ones in the Fraser gym, and like if that would fall under it, you're just like limiting the students from using the recreation facilities they are paying for, which I do understand you're getting money from them, but it's pretty much what Martha said, like logistically it's very hard, and for someone who works there, you know how hard it's to enforce right now. Like there's so many girlfriends, boyfriends, spouses who already come in, like we are slightly lenient about it, sometimes we turn a blind eye, but if we actually start enforcing it, it's not that easy, and it's just a big investment.
Senator Bright.
I was gonna go with Senator Elmore's thing about the alumni, is maybe making it available for, I mean, there's probably only a few dozen will stay in the area, but those that do, it might be some, allowing them to use the gym, especially since, they were paying for it their 4 years anyway. Might help them stay connected to school a little bit more.
Senator Davidson.
So in the comment, I'd like to say that we voted against this for the last 3 years I've been here. I would like to say I think a lot of the discussion is beginning to sound very similar, and so I'd like to limit time to 5 minutes.
Second.
There's a motion to limit discussion to 5 minutes by Knudsen, seconded by Providence. Discussion on that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, continue. Senator Elmore. You always do that. It like kills discussion right away. Senator Elmore.
I guess I would just say that I think I would be interested to see like maybe just a more thought out like detailed plan, and because I feel like a lot of us are saying, well, if this happens, if this happens, if this happens. So if you do want to move forward with it, I think it'd be good to see like a proposal, and then we'll know for sure if that's something we want to do or not, and maybe numbers about who might be interested.
Which was just a point brought up in the student petition, so we were just discussing, and I did talk to Seth before he left yesterday, and one of the things that he was saying would, and just an idea, could potentially also make some money, is hosting like a league tournament for different groups in the community, and they'd have to pay membership, and it would be just for like a specific time, ran, however much you pay for having a team, because I know, or from what he said, that the community centers, gyms and everything are pretty heavily used, and we use intramurals Tuesdays and Thursdays, so potentially Monday, Wednesday, so just another conversation.
Further discussion on this topic. Okay. Anything else for your report here?
Oh, maybe. Student leaders dinner at President Rain's house was a success, and sparked some interesting conversations. Once I get a list from Dean Mann, who's not here, about all the topics and ideas that were discussed, I will send them out to you. Other than that, end of report. Unless there's any questions.
Questions for Vice President or Alright, thank you, Jake. My report, I have a handful of items. Okay, so yeah, we had the Student Federation meeting, which I wrote Board of Regents, put in the Student Fed. There is a new executive director. He is from USD. His name is Matthew Yetter. He's a sophomore, but he seemed very energetic about serving as the executive director and very interested in the legislative process. So optimistic, and if you guys are interested, so there were some changes to the Constitution and bylaws for Federation. Basically, we just better define the roles that, if for those of you who remember, we now have a chair and an executive director. The executive director is essentially the external president, so they interact with legislators about the bills that are in session, Board of Regents, that sort of thing. The chair does all the internal communication between the student fed. That chair position was originally written to be nominated from within the board, so within the executive teams of all the universities. That is no longer the case, so if you are interested in running the Student Federation meetings, so you would be essentially doing what I'm doing for these meetings, for the Student Federation meetings, you have the opportunity next month to run. If you are, let me know. There's some things we don't follow Robert's Rules of Order the way that the rest of the universities do and the way Student Fed does. So if you are interested, we need to have a little bit of a conversation about that and then talk about, the purpose of, it is a paid position now. You would receive $500 for the year, and it would require at least travel once every 2 months to the Student Federation meetings, potentially more if we have to meet monthly, but from here on out, but it can be over conference call. We have to meet in person like every 2 weeks, or every 2 months. So. Questions on that? I know that was kind of vague, but those are the main changes. We also approved the budget. Same fees. We will not be increasing our dues to Student Federation, but the way they're allocated is a little bit different. We took money out of the social that we have for Student Federation and said basically if we want to do a social, universities can go hang out and pay on their dime. We do have a little bit of money allocated there, but nothing much. They took some money out of the executive director's travel budget to put more towards the dinner with the legislators during SHED. We were the only people who voted no against that because it was like $200. So the budget's down $500 for the travel, but I think it'll be fine. But it's nice that our fees aren't changing at all. And that's about it for Student Fed. Any questions on that topic? If you're interested, come talk to me. Senator McBride, you gotta stick your hand way out, man.
Was that the legislative dinner that no legislator showed up to?
Yes, and typically it is much greater attended than it was this year. Senator Allen. It alters. It was dinner like 2 years ago, breakfast last year. Further questions on Student Federation? Okay. The grant proposal team, I have ran into Dr. Brayman 4 times now, and I said, hey, can you send me the stuff? And still haven't seen it, so it may be something the next Senate gets to do for those of you who volunteer. But thank you for volunteering, and if I hear something like tonight, I will let you know. I will let Ari, did you talk about some of that, how much like during food, I'll let you talk about that in food report then. The transition meeting is next week. Important, and it's so nice. You are the only proxy, so you need to pass this along. But the meeting will be at 6, not 5, because there are scheduling issues. So it will be at 6 p.m. in the Christensen Hall of Fame up at the King Center. Please dress professionally. And wear a bow tie or something if you want. As it says. Polo. But yeah, look presentable. There will be dinner. I guess if you have a specific dietary restriction or a special need, please come talk to me about that, because I put in the catering, but I can still change it for that. And I'm also waiting because I need to email the new senators about the same thing. The plan right now is you will get a salad and sandwiches, is what it is. That's what it came out to. So, if you have a problem with that, you can take it up with me. Questions on the transition meeting? Okay, what's this? I need one senator who would like to serve on the beautification committee with Kate Knott. Someone who's interested in planting trees, specifically. Senator Spillane, you were so energetic, man.
I do that.
Yeah, perfect. I'm very excited now. I will send an email to Dean Mann. She's been anxiously awaiting something. You talked about the trivia, and I missed it. Are there multiple teams or one
We
senator?
have enough for one team. If there's a bunch of new senators that want to do it, we'll have them.
Okay. And finally, commencement speaker. So, as a lot of the graduating seniors know, everyone who's graduating this semester received an email that said, hey, if you're graduating, you can nominate someone to speak at commencement, or multiple people, you know. Essentially, every nomination from a person counts as a vote, and I've crossed off the votes from last week, and I put the votes that I've received from students on the left side. I'm only going to pass this around, and I ask not graduating, senior senators will get 2 votes. I would ask that nobody else vote. I think if we're going to do this process, the idea is that the seniors are the ones selecting who's speaking at commencement, and for that reason, the senior senators will be the senators voting. Senator Elmore.
Can I email you your scores to pass it?
Yes, that'd be great. Senator Knott.
So basically, senior senators vote, and then anybody who isn't senior senator, like outside of Senate, that wants to vote can email you, is that what's
Only if
happening?
they're graduating
Only if
senior.
they're graduating.
Yes. And to let you know, it's actually been a really cool thing because I have received 6 nominations for Darren Jones, who I believe is actually Devin Jones. I don't know if that's the only Jones I have on here. Does anyone know? Well, I received a lot of nominations for him to speak at commencement. You have thoughts on that? Talk later. You guys just had a weird look. Okay, I'm going to pass this around.
We're taking our time on Sunday.
Questions on Senator Spillane? You didn't tell me before.
Literally told you I was at the Senate table.
Well, I apologize, I forgot. Go ahead.
Just to make sure I'm double checking here. So we voted last week, you're just not counting any of the votes from
I'm
last week, you're
scratching.
starting over.
Correct. Okay. Okay. Encourage seniors who are graduating to send me an email because I would love, the more votes we get, the better represented that the commencement. And just so you guys know, they do have to go through like if someone tries to do it as a joke, they would basically have to make that decision right at the end. You know, like they have to present a speech to the administration. They have to go through a whole process. So it's not like the person with the most votes just automatically gets it. Senator Elmore.
I was gonna say, if you, like, with opening it, you're probably gonna get a lot of joke.
Yes, and I do understand that. And there is discretion with that as well. So. Yes, 100%. DARIN. Okay, any questions on that?
So sorry.
Senator Elmore.
So you're crossing off all the votes from last week?
I already did.
Okay.
I know you had like 1 million, so you're gonna need to get people to email me.
Oh, I wasn't even here last week, so.
You had 1 million. Questions for me about anything? Commencement? Anything? Thank you guys so much for this year. I think that I've learned a lot about myself as a leader in this role, and I've got to see all you guys take charge of projects throughout the year, and it's been very fulfilling, and I've really enjoyed it. I think sometimes Senate gets a bad rep, and I talked about this when I got into office for not representing the students, but I know that you guys work hard to do so, and unlike any other student org you are elected, this is prestigious, and I hope that you guys continue to take it seriously. If you're reelected, if you consider re-election in the future years, this is what our country is founded on, democracy like this. It's important that we take it seriously at this level. And we have a lot of power. Not a lot of the universities see the things come across their table that we do. A lot of their things that they pass are in support or against something their university is doing. It's not as frequent that they are the ones who get to make the decisions. And that's not something that a student should take for granted. So thank you guys. And we'll have half a meeting together next week at 6, not 5. But yeah, with that, thanks so much. So we'll move on to committee reports. Constitution.
I changed the camp stuff, and so now it's updated on the app drive. That's it.
Questions for Constitution? No questions? Thank you, guys. GR.
The election is going on tonight, so keep encouraging people to vote, and tomorrow morning I will be sending out an email regarding the transition meeting for all the senators who are re-elected or elected.
Will you send me that list as soon as you have it?
Yes.
Preferably their emails if you can get those.
Okay, yeah.
Questions for GR? All right, thank you, GR committee. Public relations.
Hi, everybody. Last report, little thing. We are waiting because we can't do anything about the band release until it's banned. Under report.
Questions for BI? Short reports. Student affairs. Oh, in quick interjection, I was wrong. It's Darren James. Don't know if anyone knows who that is. It's not Jones, it's James, so I'm gonna have to change the thing. Okay, anyway. So no questions for Pia? All right, thank you. I know. Essay.
Board is up. Senator Benekis worked on combining all of the old common board items, the key points, and it's on the F drive. End of report.
Questions for student affairs? Senator Benekis.
Senator Polsher and I work in it like side by side.
I wasn't aware of that. Correction. Polsher and Senator Benekis.
Awesome. Thank you guys for your work. Campus ad hoc committees. Senator Lopez.
Food committee met today, and we're going to have the Accepted Students Day on April 13th. So I sent out a paper.
There's a handful. There's 6 more slots available.
Good, there's 6 more
Pass
spots
around again.
available. Please sign up. There's going to be like laser tag and games and a cotton candy machine. And then there's also going to be a carnival themed dinner from 5 to 6:30, and we need 2 to 3 people to help make banana splits. And then we also talked about student organizations.
Where's that gonna be at?
The quad.
So
It's like admissions are,
Technically, it's all over campus.
yes. But I'll give you more information on like where to meet once I have volunteers. So please sign up. Anything else?
Can you speak to why it's not called Spring Fling?
Admissions is taking this day over because they're gonna have
Oh, so
all.
this is accepted students like
Yes.
not School of Mines.
Yeah, not School of Mines students. So it's gonna be students that have already been accepted to attend college like next year. So this will be a chance to meet potentially incoming students. And they also said that we can bring like Senate brochures and stuff like that if we wanna like get our name out there. So yeah, April 13th.
Do they have like a sign up sheet? Do they know how many people like right now they have? Because that's coming up.
We need 9 volunteers.
No, how many people are coming?
No, 30 right now are registered, but they said that a lot of people like to do it very last minute. So 30-ish, 80-ish.
Senator McBride.
Jake, what I was asking about the contribution is because we thought it might be good to be able to advertise that.
Yeah.
Because it's people who might be here next year. So, I mean,
So I'm pushing. So just 2-second update on that. Basically, the band we're looking at is in the price range. It's the production side of things that could cause a potential increase. So they're working with them right now to get that information back. So hopefully by the end of the week.
Senator Knott.
Point of personal.
Senator Knudsen.
We're not looking at Nickelback, are we?
No, I mean, sorry, what's that?
Whoa.
I kind of left that in my head.
I am really pushing for T-Swift. I can listen, but that's okay.
Senator Knudsen, we are talking about Taylor Swift. Please pay
Oh,
attention.
I'm sorry. Here, I have something. There.
Please hand up.
I mean, it's about the committee. I went to the meeting.
Okay, well, we'll let Ari continue that.
Okay.
All right, so second thing that we talked about for food committee. So there's been student organizations that don't want to order catering, but they have pizza at their events. And they kind of got into a disagreement because they didn't order catering, but then they advertised like free pizza. And she says that the contract with Airmark is black and white, but sometimes people like to see it as gray. And right now, there are no consequences if you do not order food through catering. So Jen and some of her colleagues would like to have a policy through the school that has some consequences for if you don't order catering. And then I was going to ask you guys, like, this is something that Senate could get involved in by like creating a policy for student organizations, like, hey, if you don't order catering, like your soap funds get freeze. But I have no idea if this is something that Senate wants to do or is like in favor of. So we were going to talk about it.
All right, we will open this up to open discussion. And surprisingly, I didn't see your hand first, but you'll be next. Senator Elmore.
I guess I would ask that if Jen did do that, is there any way that she would be able to give a little on her end about being more willing to sign food waivers? Because I know that like just doesn't happen because she doesn't ever allow them. And I think like, because the school's pizzas are way more expensive than Little Caesars now. And I think that's one of the main reasons they do Little Caesars, because they're $5 pizza.
So the biggest point I brought up earlier was, where do you draw the line? Because one scenario is I'm meeting Brock for a group project with like 3 more members, and we decide to order pizza. You're a student group eating food not from Marmar. So she said that that would be excused. So now another scenario comes. So like say, for example, like last week, like most Greek organizations have study rooms, and one person decides, hey, I'm going to order pizza for all you guys can Venmo me. The student group ordering pizza, last minute, why, like, so that it's just hard. It's really hard to like keep track. That wording has to be so precise that there's going to be like even more gray area once it's done.
Director Henry.
So definitely great points. So just as you're thinking through this, and when we talk about exclusivity contracts and those kinds of things, and the 3 universities that I've worked at, obviously they've either been companies similar to Aramark, it's been Chartwell's or Sodexo, or at the University of Wyoming, it's in-house. So the university hires similar to what we did with our facility staff. There was still an exclusivity contract there that they had to sign off on. Obviously, we need to clear things up as I've talked to Jen, and I've been pushing her on this a little bit the last few weeks, is where is the accountability line and where is it drawn? Obviously, at the University of Utah, when I was working in the union, our piece there was, obviously, they reserved the room, they knew the catering policy. We had staff working throughout the whole day and into the evening, so when food was brought in from the outside, we knew about that. They were charged that cost, which then came back to the union. So that allowed us to be accountable. I don't know if that's feasible. One thing that's going to be a restriction to keep in mind for student organizations where it's a change is it's really when it's coming to their soap money. Okay? Obviously, nothing's going to be being reimbursed to a student unless that food waiver is attached to that receipt or whatever. So that's going to stop, but that's not the end-all if they try to use a foundation account. So there's things we really need to definitely work on.
I would say there's 2 big things that students get all up in arms about. It's parking and food, like either the Minor Shack or Airmark in general. I would be very apprehensive as the Senate to sign on board with something that Airmark's doing when most of our constituents generally hate anything that restricts them with regards to Airmark. If Airmark wants to go through with trying to do this to the university, I really think our hands should maybe not be involved in it. at all. Like, we don't have to take a side on it, but maybe just not be involved in it.
Senator Schuman.
I second that.
Senator Heinrich.
So then it goes to say with some of those organizations, like the honor societies that don't have SOAP funding anymore, how are they supposed to go about doing that sort of thing? Like, how is the punishment if taking away the SOAP funding? That doesn't really work out for me.
How are you?
I kind of like the idea of just assessing them a fee because I don't know that I could see that getting abused. So they'd be like, well, I don't care, we'll pay it, but maybe that would work out in our favor if it's going towards something.
Thank you for the feedback. I'll let Jen know. It was just something that we talked about during food committee today, and I figured this was going to kind of be the response, but it's just good to get senators' feedback.
Senator Provencher.
Another way to combat the whole pizza cost was to make the pizza better, and I suggested that. And she gave me a 10-minute lecture politely saying, no, they won't improve the pizza. But she said she might improve the crust, which is the biggest issue of pizza.
Alright. Senator Clump.
Even if there is penalties, is it still on like Airmark to find out? Like how are they gonna police this? Like, are you gonna have to tell them that you buy out pizza?
That's one of the issues.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are a lot of issues with the current implementation and the changes that would be needed. Any further discussion on this? Any other campus or ad hoc committees need? Okay. Look at that. Upcoming Senate business. Trivia. Senator Elmo.
Trivia on April 18th at 7:30 p.m. I'm going to message the people who volunteered and if any of the new Senate wants to join also. If we get 12 people, we can make 2 teams.
Nice. Very excited. Senator McBride?
What if we end up not being a senator anymore?
You're more than welcome to, yes,
Yeah.
of course. It doesn't have to be like a certain
Yeah.
team. She just wants groups of students, so I figured I would go to
It'd just be cool.
Yeah.
Senator McBride.
Is all something that we can tell other people about?
Yes. Yeah, it's open to anyone. Anyone can bring a team. They just have to.
Is it first come, first reserved on,
She didn't say that there were a limited number.
right, but I mean space-wise,
I
you're
told
gonna
her I
be
was
limited
bringing
somewhere.
like 3, so.
Cool. Senator Provencher, what are you doing? Okay. Further upcoming Senate business. None? Okay. Any announcements? Senator Provencher.
Buy donuts on Monday. All proceeds go to Van Year's Memorial Scholarship.
I have a question.
Yep.
If we pre-ordered, do we need to pay page already?
It could be either.
Senator Knudsen.
How much?
$10 a dozen.
Cash.
Ways and $12 for assorted. Assorted is 4 maple ice, 4 chocolate ice, and 4 chocolate ice with sprinkles.
Monday.
Yes. And I'm picking them up at 8 p.m. Denver Sunday night.
Okay.
So they're going to be as fresh as they can. A couple hour delay.
Director Headley.
Just one quick announcement. It's not going to impact a ton of students, but I was asked to talk about the upcoming primary and civic center vote. Okay, that's happening on June 5th. So for students, one that are registered in Pennington County are going to be around still at the beginning part of the summer, are wanting to register to vote. Just encouraging students to make sure they get in and register if they're wanting to be a part of that. So that will take place on June 5th. So there'll be some offices, but then the big vote, as you're hearing, obviously, in a lot of the media, is about the civic center expansion. So that's all I got.
Is it possible for you to be able to vote from a distance? Like,
I think you probably have to do absentee.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do absentee.
Yep.
And I think you just have to tell the courthouse that they're doing it, and they'll even send it to you like before the actual elections.
Senator Provencher.
This should have been upcoming Senate business. I just thought of it. But science fair on Wednesday, April 4th. So they need help to set up afternoon on Tuesday, April 3rd. I'll post this on the Facebook group, or if you guys want an email, I can send it that way too. So they need help setting up, pretty much setting up tables and taping out project spaces on Tuesday, and they need judges and volunteers on April 4th, Wednesday, the full day. But you can be there just only for an hour or something, and I will give you more details on that. Lunch is provided for judges.
So they're all
This is a week early, but next weekend is the ASCE regional competition, which is the civil engineering students. It's the first time we've held it since 1995. There will be 16 other universities here, so about 400 students. You guys have all heard about it. But come watch the competitions because it'll be a lot of fun. And there are rumors that civil classes will be canceled next Friday. So if you are in any civil classes,
Sure. Quick question. We were hearing things earlier that the concrete races were moving to Canyon Lake.
Yep,
Have you
the
heard
Angus
that?
store is still frozen, so we are gonna move them to Canyon Lake as long as all the permits and stuff go through.
Okay.
Yep. So even more reason to come on Saturday. Next Saturday.
Any more announcements? Send out to new teams.
This will be my last announcement for Secret Santa. I want you guys to think about that. It's coming up really fast. Secret Santa.
And this year, you need to find, just so you know, you will need to handpick a replacement. Okay.
That was beautiful.
Senator Potter, second.
Motion to adjourn.
Are there any other announcements? Is it a second? Okay. The motion to adjourn was made by Senator Bromsai, seconded by Senator Schumann. Discussion. All those in favor, state by saying nay. Opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned. Guys, I'm working on my stand-up comedy. You should have seen me a year ago. You know what acts like not my friend around you guys? I swear. He's like so nice to me everywhere else, and then I'll say something to him and he's like, I did you a favor. Why are you so stupid? Right? So he does hey, he starts and then just be like, just follow them. Or just think of things to explain that. But like, we just don't have
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I did it on Okay.
Yeah, you or Jake or someone stamped it.
I'm like, I wrote something.
You already had
that. Like,
secretary?
it should be like 3 pages
Oh.
long here. Sorry. Last week, we didn't have access to technology the vast majority of the
Thank you for setting up. Sorry.
I looked on my
Yeah,
computer.
Gina, do you have the list? Commencement list.
Oh, just kidding.
Schumann, do you have the commencement list? Oh, it's right here, it's right here.
And then I'm going to Brady.
What's good, man? I can't believe no one stole my pen. You still really nature records. Let's see if they can't thank you.
Thanks again for yesterday.
Screwed up
Yeah.
some of my interviews.
It was fun. More people.
That's fine. I might have him bug you in like a couple years down the road. Talk, see where she's at.
Yeah, no, what are you doing now?
I might, just
Do you want to go to trivia first?